A shooting in North Miami is under investigation after police shot and wounded a therapist who says he was trying to calm an autistic patient. Cell phone video shows the scene. It shows the therapist lying on the ground, you can see there, with his hands up along with his patient. Charles Kinsey was trying to get that young man, to come back to a group home where Charles Kinsey worked. That man had run away from the group home. Kinsey says he shouted to police to try and explain who he was, why he was there, and that his patient was holding a toy truck and not a gun. Listen to him describe the incident from his hospital bed.
I'm like this right here. And when he shot me, it was so surprising. It was like a mosquito bite. And when he hit me, I'm like, I still got my hands in the air. I said, no, I just got shot. And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, sir, why did you shoot me? And his words to me, he said, I don't know.
Now, I want to read you a preliminary statement from the North Miami PD, and I'm going to paraphrase a bit here. The full statement is on your screen. Arriving officers attempted to negotiate with two men on the scene, one of whom was later identified as suffering from autism. At some point during the on-scene negotiation, one of the responding officers discharged his weapon, striking the employee. I'm joined right now by that therapist's attorney, Hilton Napoleon II. And Hilton, I understand that you have been with Charles. First of all, can you give us an update on how he is doing both physically and emotionally?
Physically, Charles is recovering. Obviously, it's Thursday, it's been 4 days, and he's still in the hospital. But the hardest part for him is the mental recovery, because he felt like he did everything that the officers asked him to do and more to comply with their commands, and also to try to get his client and his patient to comply with his commands. So the hardest part for him is that he's still trying to wrap his head around if there's anything differently that he could have done. And he realizes, or when he came to the realization that there isn't nothing else that he could do, he did everything that we're supposed to do as American citizens to comply, and he still got shot. So that's the biggest.
I just want to confirm, he was shot in the leg, correct? He was shot in the leg?
Yes, he was shot. He was shot with an AR-15 in the leg. That's correct.
Okay. No, I can imagine that, because I think anybody that has worked with this community, this population, knows that your primary concern is to care for your client, your patient, your individual that you are charged with. And so I can imagine that was, try and protect this patient, and then also try to make sure that he is doing what the police are asking. What did he tell police? I understand that he has now spoken with police. Am I correct in saying that?
Well, he has not spoken to the police. The police department has not reached out to us. I know that the City of North Miami Police Department turned over the case to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, which is a state agency, and no one from the police department has spoken to us this moment, including to come in to apologize to him for what has happened. So we have had no communication with the police. They haven't released the officer's name. They have not come out with anything other than the press release. And that's something that the community is concerned about, because we're looking for transparency, and we're looking for them to come out and do the right thing and say that this type of behavior is unacceptable.
Is there already talk of settlement at this point?
There is a talk of settlement. I have spoken to the city manager. I also spoke to the city attorney. They want to show the nation, according to them, that the city of North Miami does not accept this type of behavior, and they want to resolve this as amicably and as expeditiously as possible, according to them. So we're going to work with them in good faith negotiations to resolve this as quickly as possible, to give them their opportunity to show that the city of North Miami is willing to do the right thing and compensate people for actions of their officers.
Hilton, I want to get a little personal here because I know that this is a challenge for you because I know you come from a family that is filled with law enforcement. Your father is a former police chief. Your uncle, I believe, is a county sheriff in Michigan. You have grown up within law enforcement. You were also grew up with the idea of how to behave when an officer stops you and wants to question you. How are you processing all of what you have seen happen to your client?
Well, it's not only me as a child whose dad is a police and whose his uncle is also a police officer. Growing up, my father always told me that if you get pulled over by a police officer, you put your hands on the steering wheel and you make sure that all the windows are rolled down and they have the best view. The troubling part about this particular situation, and also how other people have to deal with it, is that I do a lot of community outreach and I talk to a lot of people, and there are a lot of mothers and fathers who are concerned, even before the situation happened, what do they tell their child when there is a police interaction? And that's something that I'm equally concerned about. I have a 7-year-old son. He's here in Miami-Dade County, and my wife and I are quite honestly struggling with, what do we tell him? We don't want him to grow up afraid of the police. His granddad is a police. His uncle is a police. A lot of other of my family members are police officers too. But in the same sense, we don't want him to be in a situation where he's confronted by a police officer, he does everything right, and in the same sense, he receives a bullet in him.
Well, Charles Kinsey is different from some of the other cases because he lived to tell the story, and we now know that there are going to be quite an investigation into this. Again, keep us updated. Hilton Napoleon, the attorney for Charles Kinsey, there in North Miami, recovering in the hospital. Give him our best. We're anxious to hear from him, but we wish him a speedy recovery, okay?
Yeah, and he'll eventually, once he's up to it, he will make a statement and let everyone know what happened to him, because he understands that this issue, yes, it happened to him, but this is an important issue throughout the country, so we appreciate it.
Certainly is. All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.